Welcome to Addicted to Busy, the podcast specifically for overachieving property managers who are dying for a little more work-life balance in their lives. Each week, we dismantle all the BS that holds us back. You'll learn how to nix those tricky, self-sabotaging habits so that you have the time, energy, and motivation to create what you really want in life. If you're looking to shift from overcommitted to overjoyed, this is the podcast for you. Let's do this. Now, your host, 𝐭𝐡𝐚𝐭'𝐬.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Addicted to Busy. How was your week? I gotta be honest, last week, I just was not having it. I feel like I've been on the struggle bus where it feels like I'm doing everything that I can to stay caught up, and yet I'm just failing. Not to mention, for some reason, I've just been extra clumsy. The other day, I broke a glass dish in my office at pretty much the most inconvenient time to have glass everywhere. So, how have you been? Do you feel me here? On the flip side, one of my goals for Addicted to Busy is to be able to provide support to property managers in a number of different ways. And one of the ways that I do that is by spreading these teachings by way of doing public speaking events. So, if you're a listener of this podcast, you've likely heard me talk about this and how public speaking is helping me get over my stage fright and how it is helping me grow in a number of ways. Another goal of mine that I set a few years ago was to host free virtual webinars for the managers who A, can't make it to an in-person event, or B, can't really afford to take the time away from their properties. Now, it's taken a little bit of coordination to get the registration process set up and get the scheduling together, but we are finally doing it. So if you would like to meet me live and be able to ask questions in person, come sign up for the free webinar. Now, don't worry, you don't have to be on camera. No one will even see the participant list, so it is completely anonymous. I am really, really excited about this. Our first one is this upcoming Thursday, and we already have over 100 property managers registered for it. Now, I'm going to try my best to jam-pack 30 minutes with some of the best teachings that I have, and we will see if I can do it or not. I'm someone who has been known to talk a lot, so this is definitely going to be a challenge for me. Depending on when you are listening to this podcast, this month's mini workshop is all about what you need to know in order to go from busy to balanced. So if you're interested in this, head on over to 𝐭𝐴𝐚𝐿.com, and on the top portion of the website is going to be a little button called Mini Workshop. It is super easy to register, and once you do, we will email you all of the details once you sign up. Now, during the workshop, we're going to touch on 3 things. Number 1, the multitasking myth, why focusing on one task at a time is the key to success. Number 2, eliminating the excuse of not having enough time. And number 3, moving from reactivity to intentionality, how to maximize your productivity. I'm really pumped about it, and I hope to see you there. So let's just hop into this week's podcast episode. The title might seem a little bit strange. Most of you who are regular listeners of this podcast, you are an overachiever by nature. So the title may have even been a bit of a turnoff for you. Listen, I'm ambitious, and if you're listening to this podcast regularly, chances are, so are you. Now, being ambitious is a good thing until it's not. Listen, I fully understand the desire to put in the extra hours so that you can get things done, make your company proud, fill the building, get raving tenant reviews, get a bonus, or win the award. I get it. But oftentimes, what we have to do in order to achieve those things is put ourselves on the back burner. We end up working 12 to 16-hour days. We're trying our hardest not to snap when we're sleep deprived. We're often eating takeout because we're either too tired or don't have the time to cook. We're skipping the gym because we're exhausted. We're forcing ourselves to put on a happy face around others instead of being sincerely happy. And oftentimes we're just pretending like this was the career that we dreamed of having when we were a kid. It's likely not. The other day, I was reading this book called Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Ryan Holiday has written some of the greatest books on self-development. Most of them are based on Stoic philosophy. And in this book, he included a quote by Marcus Aurelius that was so good, I had to write a whole podcast episode about it. The quote says, "Ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Self-indulgence means tying it to the things that happen to you. Sanity means tying it to your own actions." I love that part about sanity being tied to our own actions. I'm going to read it again. Ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Self-indulgence means tying it to the things that happen to you. Sanity means tying it to your own actions. Just so that you and I have a working understanding of ambition, the dictionary defines it as having or showing a strong desire and determination to succeed, or intended to satisfy high aspirations and therefore difficult to achieve. Now, for the record, I'm not actually encouraging that you not be ambitious. I'm ambitious, and I'm going to continue to strive after goals that I'm not entirely sure that I can achieve. What I am asking you to do is to ensure that your ambitions are fueled by your values, not by how others will see you or by what you stand to gain in a material sense. When you can approach your ambitions by asking yourself, how will I grow from this experience? That's when you remove the potential for arrogance or self-centeredness. You invite an opportunity for self-reflection and self-acceptance. Over the next week, I want you to listen intently to the people around you. Listen intently and listen without judgment. When you go to a networking event, you will see ambitious people who are fueled by reputation and prestige. These will be the people who boast about how many doors they have or what deal they just closed. They have likely tied their well-being to what other people will say about them. Now, this isn't to be a Debbie Downer. There are a whole host of people whose ambitions are fueled by their contribution and care for others. These will be the people who are telling you why they're proud of their team and who will be honest about the challenges that they're facing at their sites. Notice, I said they're honest about their challenges. I did not say that they're complaining about the way things are. I'd even invite you to listen to yourself. How do you talk about your ambitions? Your ambition needs to be fueled by the things that you can control. Let me read this to you once more. Ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Self-indulgence means tying it to the things that happen to you. Sanity means tying it to your own actions. You cannot control what other people say or do. Sure, you might be able to influence it to some degree, but to think that you can control it is silly. Likewise, you cannot control the things that happen to you. Again, you can certainly influence what happens to you, but you will never have full control over it. Where you have full agency is your own actions. I will be fully transparent. There was a time that I wanted to win awards. I wanted to be recognized for my hard work. My motives for my ambition at that time were simply recognition. Now, I'm not implying that we shouldn't want to be recognized in any company or in any position. It's important that we acknowledge one another's contributions. But where I got it wrong was in believing that receiving those awards would make my life better in some way. Sure, I was very happy in the moment that I received them, but it actually didn't improve my overall happiness. Once the ceremonies were over and all of the after parties were packed up, I was still left with the same old problems that I had before. I was just looking for validation as a way to try and solve them. And spoiler alert, it never solved them. There is a difference between striving for validation and living your life in accordance with your values. And the truth is, you can win awards either way. By fueling my ambitions with my values, as opposed to fueling it with the need for recognition, I I started to live my life in alignment with the person that I want to be. Now that happiness that I created, that lasts well after the after party has closed up. This is an exercise that all of the members of Addicted to Busy do. We have them choose their values. Now, I have two sets of values, one for my business and one for my personal life. My business values for Addicted to Busy are growth, integrity, and service. My personal values for the person that I want to be are gratitude, knowledge, and health. Listen, a lot of you are busy. You are juggling your properties alongside your teams, your families, your communities, and many of you are also striving after personal goals, such as starting side hustles or getting yourself back in shape. Ambition has a purpose, but you cannot forget that the peace that you are looking for and the satisfaction that you're looking for, it's already inside of you. I promise you, it is not outside of you. And the more that you strive to get recognition from others, the less peace you're going to be able to create for yourself in the long run. So how do you know if you're doing this? It's simple. If you're telling yourself things like, my life will be better when, then you know that your ambitions are not being fueled by your values. I'll feel better when I lose 20 pounds, or I'll feel more secure when I get a raise, or I'll believe that I'm a good parent when my kids get good grades, or life will be easier when I retire. All of these are examples of waiting either on the opinions of others or of something to happen to you. Your internal state, your enjoyment of the world, and your experience of your own life has nothing to do with these things. It has everything to do with the thoughts that you choose to think intentionally. If you don't make concerted efforts to examine yourself and your motivations very carefully, you'll just keep falling back into the same old behavior patterns that keep you stuck exactly where you are. If you're an emotional eater and you failed to get the reaction that you wanted from your boss, you will likely return to overeating. If you're an overspender and you see someone who is more confident than you, you may try to solve for your lack of confidence with another new outfit or another new gadget. If you're a workaholic and you didn't get the feedback that you wanted to hear, you might try to make up for it by putting in extra hours. All of these are actions that are compensating for the things that happen outside of us. But the solution is not to keep striving for things or throwing ourselves on the sword so that other people will see how hard we work. The solution is to look inside. If you didn't get the reaction that you wanted from your boss, the solution isn't to eat. It's time to figure out how to validate yourself. If you see someone who is more confident than you, the solution isn't to go buy a new outfit. It's to be curious about your own self-development and confidence. If you get constructive feedback, the solution isn't to put in more hours at the office. It's to consider, how might this feedback be correct? And if so, how can I improve in this area? There is relief when your actions are driven from your desires within instead of from recognition outside of you. So my friends, as we end this episode today, use ambition sparingly, but spread your values far and wide. And like I mentioned before, come and join us for the Busy to Balanced mini workshop. I'm so excited that our weekly webinar mini workshop series is kicking off. And you can sign up by going to AnnaHavliana.com. And on the top section of the website, click Mini Workshop. That's ANNAJAV as in values, ELLANA.com. I love y'all. Keep going.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Addicted to Busy. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.